Hey guys, welcome back to another Conan Exiles video. Today we'll be building the Ziggurat of Ur. This build was recently asked about by Leonardo Fiesel, so I decided to give it a try. The requirements for this build are on screen now, feel free to screenshot the blueprint, and without further ado, let's get started. So Leonardo's comment was asking if the Ziggurat of Ur would actually be a viable build to make in Conan Exiles. The initial idea was to construct a rough test build to see if the Ziggurat was something that I could actually build. The real-life Ziggurat does have some dimensions and features that Conan just doesn't support, namely the gently sloping walls, so that was definitely a no-go. However, I was pretty sure I'd be able to reinterpret it, and with a bit of creative license, I think I managed to get pretty close. When building the Ziggurat, I mainly used these images that I found during my research as my reference photos. The Ziggurat is not fully intact in its original form, though I did manage to find a render that looked like a good reconstruction of what seemed to be missing. I found a few other images that seemed to corroborate features like this, so I went with it. On my Mausoleum of Halicarnassus video, a lot of you said you enjoyed learning about the history of the mausoleum. Well, the Ziggurat isn't one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, but there is quite a bit of interesting history here that I think you'd enjoy. I will warn you ahead of time though, I'm probably going to mispronounce half of the names and places, but alas. A ziggurat, by definition, is a terraced compound of successively receding stories or levels, typically seen in ancient cultures such as the Sumerians, the Akkadians, and the Babylonians. The Ziggurat of Ur specifically is a Neo-Sumerian ziggurat in what used to be the city of Ur, located in modern-day Dhikar province in Iraq. The structure was first built during the early Bronze Age in roughly the 21st century BC by King Ur-Nammu. The ziggurat was proclaimed as a place to honour the god Nannar, the Mesopotamian deity of the moon. As the patron deity of Ur, the temple of Nannar would have been incredibly important to the city and also served as an administrative centre, alongside being a place of worship. The construction was eventually finished by King Shulgi, and during his 48-year reign, Ur grew to be the capital of a state controlling much of Mesopotamia. It's theorised that the ziggurat stood at almost 100 feet tall and was a whopping 210 feet long. By the 6th century BC, the temple had unfortunately crumbled to ruin. King Nabonidus, the final ruler of ancient Mesopotamia, restored the ruined temple during his reign. Little was left of the temple aside from the last stage, and with no guides to refer him to the monument's original appearance, Nabonidus had the ziggurat restored to the best of his knowledge. The remains of the ziggurat were rediscovered by William Loftus in 1850, which helped to identify the site as the ancient city of Ur. After World War I, Reginald Campbell Thomas and Henry Hall performed preliminary excavations of the site. The ziggurat was finally extensively excavated in the 1920s and 30s by Sir Leonard Woolley, a British archaeologist appointed to the site by the British Museum and the Museum of the University of Pennsylvania. Woolley led many expeditions to ancient Mesopotamia, including the cities of Ur and Almina, and received a knighthood in 1935 for his contributions to the field of archaeology. During the 1980s, under the rule of Saddam Hussein, the remains of the ziggurat were encased in a partial reconstruction of the facade and the staircase. The ziggurat was damaged during the Gulf War of 1991 by small arms fire, marring the walls with over 400 bullet holes. Numerous explosions also shook the temple, with 4 craters in the land nearby. As of now, the ziggurat is apparently under the supervision of a curator named Dief Mohsin Naif Al-Ghizi, and has fortunately remained relatively safe from conflict in the region. The process of constructing this ziggurat was something I expected to be quite difficult. I've attempted ziggurats before, but not for a good while, and they've never really come out to my liking. However, whether it was the bit of creative license I needed to use, or just that this ziggurat has a naturally very attractive structure in real life, I do think it actually worked out really well. The hardest part was working out how to decorate it, especially given that I chose not to use any mods in this build. Of course, without mods there is no way to make this build accurate in its veneration of the moon god Nannar, but making it into a place of Setite worship was pretty simple. I really didn't want to over-decorate the exterior either. I felt that really would have taken away from the charm of the build. That being said, I do think this build has a lot of potential as a clan base on a boosted server. With a few carefully placed internal pillars to support the ceilings above, I think it would be more than possible to turn this build into quite a spacious base that not only has an attractive exterior, but also has plenty of room on the inside for workstations, small animal pens, wheels of pain, and plenty of other resources. That is in the end how I chose to deck out the interior, and even then I probably didn't maximise the space available as best I could, so a more experienced designer of practical survival bases could probably do even better. Overall, the Ziggurat of Ur doesn't 100% translate into Conan Exiles, though going into this build I kinda knew it wouldn't. However, the overall feeling and design of the Ziggurat does translate pretty well, and in the end it creates a pretty good build. Thanks for watching. I had a ton of fun researching the real world Ziggurat and trying to translate it into Conan. Thanks again to Leonardo for mentioning the Ziggurat in the first place. I wasn't aware of it beforehand, but it was really interesting to look into the history of it, and it was even more fun to attempt to recreate. If you enjoyed that video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more. The links to my Twitter, Discord, Patreon and various sponsored discounts are also available in the description below. As always, if you have suggestions for future content you'd like to see, let me know in the comments. Don't forget to become a member of the Coffee Cult by joining our Discord, and if you'd like to support the channel further, become an esteemed Coffee Cultist by joining us over on Patreon. As a patron, you'll get sneak peeks of new videos before they're uploaded, full-size blueprints, wallpapers in both 1080p and 4K resolutions, Discord roles and more. On that note, a massive thanks to all of our esteemed Coffee Cultists on screen now for continuing to support the channel. Again, thanks for watching, take care, and I'll see you soon.